Well, you're familiar with Michael Reagan saying kill 9/11 truthers, right?
Yeah.
And with the Morning Joe saying send us to secret camps, torture us. I mean, all these shows, they are scared of us. They're scared of you, and they should be, because I think if it continues, it's going to come out they did the attacks.
Yeah, I think there's a real possibility that we're going to be able to piece it together and pinpoint the organizations that have the highest probability, if not the exact organizations involved in the crimes of 9/11.
God. And people would think I'd be happy about this. It's horrifying. I wish it was 19 guys. That's not 1,000th of as scary as Black Ops and these big defense contractors. And they're not going to stop, folks. We have to expose this, or they're going to do more. And I don't like picking a fight against the mass murderers. I mean, these guys are so wicked, it would make your head spin.
If you think about the fact that the more you learn about this stuff, I know you know this, Alex, that the wars through history appear to have been started by lies, and that, war is a racket, right?
No, I know that, but I mean, it's one thing to blow up your ship when the guys are on leave, and, and that's bad enough, and start the war, which or Hitler burning his own Reichstag, that didn't kill anybody. Of course, then, or the Gulf of Tonkin, where they didn't kill anybody. I mean, then they moved on to the Liberty, why? I mean, just to realize they really are killers. They really did do it. Scientists like you, architects, engineers have proven it. I mean, I knew it 6.5 years ago. I knew it before it happened. I mean, because I saw the chatter and them getting ready. The point is to really know. I mean, to absolutely know you're right. You got to admit, I mean, does that take your breath away?
It absolutely took my breath away 5 years ago. My mind hasn't changed at all. I knew it immediately when first learning about this. I knew. I mean, it just all fit together.
No, Richard, go ahead.
I'll tell you what takes my breath away is the concern that if they pulled off, whoever they are, the 9/11, then they have the capability, the intent, and the motivation,
the will,
to pull off another one.
A bigger one.
There are more ships amassed in the Persian Gulf right now than there were prior to the Iraq invasion, and there are very well-known plans set for an invasion of Iran, not an invasion.
And then now you have this weird attempt on Sarkozy. I mean, stuff is just crazy.
It's insane, and who will they blame the next one on? I mean, obviously. And what will it be? We're promised, basically, by several members of the Bush administration, Congress, and the media of another 9/11 style attack worse than the last one. I mean, what will it be? A nuclear weapon?
I have never in my gut, not just intellectually, man, I have never in my gut felt that we are in greater danger. Just as I intellectually analyze things and then ask my gut, a gut check, it's like, whoa, everybody I talk to says they can feel we are on the edge of something big.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I do want you now to address leaked NIST documents, unusual event before collapse of WTC. They talk about fires shooting out of nowhere. They talk about fires being stronger hours before it collapsed than when it collapsed. They show how there were only fires on one side of the building. How did that cause a symmetrical? Clearly, it's an internal report because it's making our case. But Kevin, I'm told you've had more time to look over this since it's been out. Give us your take on that, and then both of you back and forth. You've got the floor.
Well, yeah, the report, the clear finding in the report is the problem with the fires dying down and then suddenly jets of flame shooting out the windows at the last minute. So that supports the idea of thermitic materials in the buildings, as well as does the molten metal found in the basements and so forth, and also the laboratory work being done now that I'm a part of, along with Stephen Jones and others in this country and outside of this country. But Richard probably has a good take on the way the building fell and what the most important evidence physically is.
Yeah, let's talk about that. And also, with this new leak, NIST has apparently provided numerous additional photos that we have not seen before, provided inadvertently, I should say, I guess. But they do not show any other damage to the building.
other than these small fires from floors 7 to 13, and what's described as a relatively minimal scoop, that is, damage from World Trade Center North Tower.
That's right, and it doesn't match other photos that have been circulated. I mean, they've shown buildings that have green faces or gray faces saying it's Building 7. Do we know if those are fake photos now?
Well, most people in the 9/11 Truth Movement have agreed, and that's been shown, that those were faked photos. I guess they did come from NIST or through NIST. I'm not completely sure about that, but the evidence of them being forgeries is apparent and been made clear. I was going to talk about Building 7 and how it came down. Some people may yet be unaware that this is the third skyscraper that collapses, in this case, into virtually its own footprint. It was not hit by an airplane. We were just talking about the nature of the fires. They were virtually out by the time at 5:20 in the afternoon of 9/11, and all of a sudden there are witnesses hearing explosions at the base of the building. Kevin McPadden describes the ground shaking. You had to grab onto something. By the way, he also describes a countdown: 3, 2, 1, and then these explosions. Now, do fires bring buildings down to countdowns? I don't think so. We also have Craig Bartmer of the New York Police Department saying, "I think I know an explosion when I hear it," and so he's describing these explosions at the initiation of this collapse. And then let's talk about this collapse, because it happens precipitously. Well, first of all, there is a collapse about 10 seconds prior to the global collapse of the east penthouse itself, just imploding virtually straight down through itself. And then 10 seconds later, the entire building, all of a sudden, virtually symmetrically and smoothly drops and straight down almost into its own footprint in about 6.5 seconds. And it's been timed. The first 2 seconds of that drop is indistinguishable in its pace from free fall. So this is extremely important because it tells us that certainly in the first 2 seconds there is no resistance to this collapse from the 40,000 tons of structural steel that were designed, of course, to resist.
Showing that it couldn't be a pancake. It wasn't a few floors falling and then causing the structure. It was free fall from the start of the collapse.
That's correct. And how could such a thing happen? Well, the columns, the resistance, the steel columns have to be removed. And we're talking within 1/10 of a second of each other, ideally, within the core structure. There's, 24 core columns in Building 7. And then a half a second after that, the perimeter columns have to be removed within 1/10 of a second of each other. Any problem in the timing of such a removal of columns, you begin to have an immediate asymmetrical collapse going on. An angular momentum will take over as the building follows the path of least resistance. So there are plenty of failed controlled demolitions where, when it doesn't go right, you see the building going over. This is a science, and this was actually a beautiful example of that science. Fires cannot accomplish this because fire is asymmetrical. It's organic. A fire burns out an area of a building every 20 minutes or so and moves on to another area. So when a building does collapse due to fire, what you have is clearly an asymmetrical collapse.
That is, an edge or a part of it falls down, or a small area collapses, not a perfect fall. I think we're getting really close and they're scared.